In an upcoming project, I'm going to want to make rivets out of this, I think it's 5 or 6 mil round bar for an upcoming project. To make the rivets, I have to make a tool. I have to make my own tool for it. So I'm using this piece of tool steel. The other part of this project is a railroad spike, which I will use, which I'll cut off as well and weld to my tool so that it fits into the Hardie hole, so I don't have to get someone to help me when I need an extra pair of hands when I'm forging the rivets. So this is the Hardie hole in my anvil. I make a number of tools that fit in there so that I don't need an extra pair of hands when I'm working, when I'm forging. So the first thing I do is I measure out what I want to cut off. So that'll be with my trusty paint pen. So 2 inches. Now I'm just going to tidy up the edge, top and bottom. So by tidying up the edges, I've just gotten rid of any sharpness. And there you have it, the 2 parts I need for the job, the railroad spike. Again, I've just ground back the edge slightly, and the piece of tool steel. When it comes to welding, there's a couple of ways to do it. You can weld it like that, drops into the Hardie hole, or I think this will be my preferred method, is to weld it like this. Okay, the hole I'm going to make in this will be 40 mil deep. Okay, so it won't go all the way through. I know some people prefer to do it that way, but for me it just makes it easier. If the tool's bouncing in the Hardie hole in there, it'll just make it more difficult. So there's a solid base inside. It'll make the rivets easier. Some of the tools I make for forging, I pretty much use every time I forge, so it's worth making them neat and nice and a good finish, because the tool more than likely will outlast me, so may as well make it properly. So that is 8 mil round bar, so I need an 8 mil hole. It gives me a bit of an idea where the middle is. With my paint pen, I've just marked where I want to drill down to, so I don't go too deep. So there I have a 40 mil hole. It's not quite dead center, but like I said, it doesn't matter. In fact, I might end up welding the railroad spike on this side so that I've got a bit more space. Okay, so here's my piece of round bar. Does it fit? Yes, it does. No problem at all. The only thing I've noticed is, even though I measured on the drill bit, it's not 40 mil deep, so we're going to have to just go a bit deeper on this. So normally when I do a job like this, I would put a bit of cutting compound or cutting oil in the hole, but unsurprisingly I can't find my cutting oil. So I'm pretty happy with that. Probably a little deep, but that just means when I cut the pins, instead of cutting them 50 mil, I'll cut them 55. But you'd still be able to get a decent rivet head out of that. No problem at all. Fits nicely. So I've clamped my 2 work pieces together. Nice and level together here. The hole is where the hole is. Now I'm going to put a spot weld here and here, just to hold it together, and then I can remove the clamp and start welding seriously. Like I said, not the prettiest weld ever, but it's holding together, which means I don't need the clamp anymore. As I said, I'm not the greatest welder in the world, but what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to weld into here. I'm going to bring the welding rod in at quite an angle to try and get the arc so the two right angles join up. Okay, so my next weld is going to run along here. This weld at the bottom here, when I'm finished, I'm going to grind away because I want a nice flat plane. When I put the rivet in the Hardie hole, I want a nice flat plane where it sits on the anvil. That'll do. I consider that to be a pretty good weld. So this is not a welding video, but just for the reference to make that tool while it cools down. I did my welds in little C shapes. So once I got the arc going, I'd go C, little C shapes, working my way backwards from one side to the other. So I guess for reference, what's a rivet? A rivet is what is holding this forging tool together. And here we have it, a fairly simple tool for the forge. You bring what you want for your rivet, you bring it in there, and then you start belting it. That'll be the hot bit there. Shall we give it a go? All right. Probably not the prettiest rivet ever, but not bad for a first go. It works.